and welcome to Paladin Survival and Preparedness. As you know, knowledge and skills are the key factors in any survival situation. So each week we will be covering a new knot to improve your skill set. So, the first knot we have in the series is a bowline knot. A bowline knot will put a loop in the end of a line and is not advised to use as a tie-in. So to start us off, we hit this part of the rope is called the standing end. The part you're going to be working with, funnily enough, is called the working end. So we're going to create a loop. We're going to go up through the loop, round the standing end, and then back down through the loop, pull the standing end and the working end to create the knot. There's your bowline. I'll do that again. Take the working end, create a loop, take the working end up through the loop, round the standing end, back through the loop and pull. Now for added security on this, what we can do, we can take the working end now around one line of the loop, put a knot in it, just an overhand knot, simple overhand knot, and that will create a stopper. Or other than that, we can just take the working end, simply just tie an overhand knot straight in that. All it would mean is if this slipped a little at all, this knot would stop that going through there. So first up is the figure eight. Now the figure eight is a basis of many other knots we're going to be going through. It's great for a stopper, so if you needed to put a knot in a rope to stop it going through another major knot you've tied, this is always a good knot to tie as a stopper. But as I'm going to show you, it's the basis to moving on to the figure of eight on a bite and a figure of eight on a follow through. So basically we take our working end, create a loop, we go under, over and then through. So what we've created is a figure of eight. Now you can see that there's a figure of eight in the line. I'll show you that again. So we take our working end, we go under, we go over and we go through, creating this figure of eight. Pretty simple really, it's a good little knot. So if you was, even if you just wanted it to tie knots in a piece of rope, say for depth finding, like tie a loop on the end, then tie a knot every foot, this would be a good knot for that, because this sort of knot, because it's symmetrical and uniform, it's not very easily caught on anything compared to an overhand or other such simple knots. So yeah, that's the figure of eight. Learn that one first and the rest of them will be a breeze. Okay, so once you've got your head around the figure eight, the next knot up we're going to show this week is the figure eight on a bite. Now basically when we talk about bites, when we pinch two pieces of rope together and create a loop on the end like this, this is what's referred to in knots and rope work as a bite. So to create a figure of eight on a bite, same principle as we did with a single, we go under, we go over and then we go through. So now we've created a figure eight with a loop on the end, or a bite, which is ideal for clipping in a carabiner, hooking yourself onto a harness, anything where you can clip onto this. That's what the the figure of eight on a bite is for, to create a loop and then for something to be clipped on. The extension of this, we can then tie a overhand on the tail end, overhand knot there. So again, if this did slip, we've got a backup, a security. This knot should tighten with the more tension put on it, but we always like to have a bit of security. What I'll do, I'll undo this, take the clip off, and we'll go through it again. So we take our working end, we create what's called a bite, which is the loop on this part. So we go under, we go over, and then we go through. And again, carabiner can be clipped in. Perfectly safe for you to be hanging off of, as long as your rope's strong enough. So that's your figure of 8 on a bite. It's a nice one to learn. If you've got a carabiner you want to clip into something, or you've got a cord that you want to clip onto something, this is the one for you. And then next up we'll move on to the follow through. Okay, so the last knot for this evening in this video is a figure of 8 on a follow through, which is basically the figure of 8 on a bite, but without the loop. We're going to be tying into a fixed point. So here I've got a figure of 8 belay. So what we'll do is, this is the knot you want to tie if you're trying to tie through something or around something that you cannot clip onto. So first off, we take our working end, we'll go over, then we'll go under, and then we'll go through. So now we've created this figure of 8. Let me just get a little bit more slack on this. So now we can go through the fixed point, or around the fixed point, and then we'll just follow the pattern that we've already made. So if that one comes under that one to go around there, we'll go back under that one to go around there, and then we'll follow it up around that one. So that one's going under there next, and then following this one, it goes under those two, so we'll follow that under there, and then it comes round, goes under these two and out that one, and we'll do the same. So as we pull, we get the figure of 8 again. Again, as with the other ones, if you want to tie a stopper knot, just as a security measure, it's not an issue. So now we are tied in figure of 8 on a follow through. We'll try that one more time. So, working end, we go over, so is it better you can see there, right, over, under, and then through our fixed point, or around that fixed point, and then we just chase the figure of 8 back. So we go under that one, over that one, around that one, follow the rope, follow the other rope, so it's under those two. That one's going around there, under and out, so we'll do the same with that one, and then put them all tight. Okay, I haven't got as much to put the security knot in this time, but the knot's there, the figure of 8. So yeah, good luck practicing those this week.
Hey guys, it's Jay from Paladin. Just wanted to carry on our knot series. So the next one we're going to be looking at is an Alpine loop, which looks like this. It's essentially used for lots of climbing different elements, hence the Alpine reference. Allows you to kind of put a lot of pressure on either side of the rope with the loop not being affected at all. It is awesome for climbing. This is what I use when I'm tying a rope ladder or something like that. The loop can be adjusted to be bigger or smaller, depending on what you want. And the beautiful thing about this knot is if I flip it around this way, the more you pull, you can follow the rope from this end through, it goes round the back of the knot there. This side goes across and then goes round the back. So the more you pull, the tighter the knot actually gets. Very, very effective. But it also leaves this loop kind of free, and it also hangs a lot easier than some of the other knots. If you're working off a climbing rope going vertical, you've got an option there. Now it sticks out, easier for your hand or your foot to get in there. So how do you do the knot? Very simple. Just undo this for you. Okay. So you don't need to have either end. You can do it anywhere in the rope. This is why it's perfect for kind of rope climbing. And all you need to do is there you go. Try and do a little one with a relatively large loop. There you go. So nice and simple. Start off like that, and what you need to do is just continue the twist. So now you've got essentially a figure eight. Now what you're going to do with this is take this over the top, pass it underneath these two, and up through this loop. So it goes over, through, and this is where it's going to bring all the knot together. Now this section I'm pulling through is going to be the loop itself, so you can pull all this tight. Now what I tend to do is put my thumbs either side, and you can just feed the rope through. That's going to produce your loop and your knot. So there you go, you've got your two there, and as you pull, again, I just neaten up a little bit. Relatively small knot. You can sit there and feed rope in to make it big or small or whatever you want, but the idea is the more you pull, the tighter it gets. Very, very simple, very effective. One of those knots is a classic. You find you use it all the time when you have it. Well, there you go, guys. That gives you an answer. If you have any other suggestions for knots you want to see, don't hesitate. Pop it in the comments below. Cheers. Hey everyone, it's Jay from Paladin. Just wanted to do an additional knot video very quickly. One of the things that we've constantly seen is kind of knot stuff coming through. People really liking the fact that you can practice it. But we're also going to be teaching you some of the problems of some of the knots and some of the issues that can surround using certain ones in certain situations. In front of me here, you can probably see one of the most common scout knots. It's a reef knot. So very easy to use. Two single ends put together, and it's a biting knot. The idea is that as you put more pressure on it, just starts tightening. But grab both ends like this, and you can actually completely have it very, very loose as well. So it's good for it doesn't really take a lot of tension. You can tighten that as much as you want. As soon as you release the tension, it's very loose. It's also known as square knot. A couple of different names. I've always known it as a reef knot, so that's what I'll be referring to it as. Let's talk you through how to do it. Okay, now this is by far the easiest knot you're ever going to do. So, simple to a normal half hitch. You go over one side, so what we'll do is go left over right and under, and then you go right over left and under. Now this is probably the most common one you'll ever see. There you go. Way to check you've done it properly. Obviously, you can look at it, but you can just loosen it off both sides and pull it out again. Very, very simple. Now, as I said, I'm going to teach you some problems with this, and one of the scenarios I would never, ever recommend using this knot is in climbing. Now, what I've done is I've actually attached this to a desk behind me, with a carabiner. Essentially, I'm going to show you why you shouldn't do it. Now, imagine you've used two lengths of rope, you've tied them together, and you're trying to climb down. Common kind of scenario, I would normally recommend stopping halfway if possible, then continuing. But say for example, you tied two ropes together. The issue you have with this knot is, very simply, the top end, if it is separated somehow from the main rope, if you pull this, that is just turned into a lark's head. Now that's just me putting pressure on it, very light pressure. The issue with a lark's head, I'm just going to do this with my finger to show you how easy it is. That's your rope completely left. Now for example, if you were to tag this by accident and you had your entire weight on this rope, you've just fallen. So very, very simple. Right over left, left over right, or left over right, right over left. Doesn't matter which way you do it. Like that, and you can do it yourself. Just pull, turns into a lark's head. That's just me straightening one of the ropes. And then that will just slide off really, really easy. Very effective knot for kind of tying things up, because you know you're not going to kind of better than like a granny knot or something like that. Downside is you have to be aware of its limitations. A lot of these knots do have limitations, it's important you know them. Okay guys, a little bit of info for you. Have a little play, let us know how you get on.
Hello and welcome to this week's Learning a New Knot. And this week we're going to be learning the round turn 2 half hitches. Now this knot is a perfect knot for securing to a fixed point. Any objects, loops or posts, so we can go through it, or if it was a post we'd go round it. It's exactly the same principle. So first of all, this we're going to go through once, through twice. This creates the round turn. Then we go over and pull, and then we go under and through. So you're creating this little 2 half hitches. Now the good thing about this knot is even under tension, just pull on that, you can still release the knot to undo it. So it's not going to jam up on you. You can moor boats up with this, it will take a lot of weight. So again, we go through or round once, through or round twice, we go over and through, and we go under and through, and tighten it all up. And that is great even under load. So I use this knot to tie my lines onto my tarps, so it's easy to get undone and won't fail under load. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you again next week.